Okay, before we deal with the reason that you were moved to support services, can you tell us more about what you were doing at support services? You mentioned firearms. What did it entail? Was it a operational position?
Commissioner, I was moved to support services due to a pending investigation of corruption. I was served a letter by General Senona and I was moved. I've still heard nothing.
Can we go to that letter on page 475, Commissioners, of that same bundle? 475 of exhibit bundle, the same.
Yes, this is it.
Okay. We obtained this. It's a photograph of the actual letter, but I think you have come today with the actual letter.
That's correct, Commissioner.
Okay, we'll just wait for the Commissioner.
Sorry, we missed what you just said.
We obtained a photograph of the letter, but the warrant officer came with the actual letter, so you'll see the quality is not that great. So, warrant officer, it is a notice of temporary placement. Can you read to us what it says? Please take your time. You can start from paragraph 1.
A complaint was received on allegations of serious corruption against the above-mentioned member, who is attached to the SUNEP team at Durban's Serious Organised Crime Investigation. Paragraph 2. It has been decided that Warrant Officer K.R. Sander be placed at the Provincial Support Services as from 2024-02-13 until further notice, pending the outcome of the investigation. 3. Kindly inform the member accordingly. It is signed by General Senona, dated 2024-02-13.
Now, were you ever informed of what the serious allegations of corruption were?
Yes.
Were you informed officially in writing?
No.
Okay, how were you informed?
Verbatim in a meeting, it was myself. If I recall, it was myself, Colonel Jacob, Colonel Sabia, Brigadier Newswa, and the General Senona.
And what were you informed about?
I was told that an email had been sent to the National Head Office that I was accused of supplying or facilitating the supply of narcotics to the Florida Road nightclub syndicates.
And did you ever get an outcome of what the investigation?
No, Commissioner.
Formally, no.
No, Commissioner.
Unofficially?
Yes, Commissioner.
Unofficially, you were informed of the outcome?
No, Commissioner.
Okay.
Unofficially, I found out that the inquiry was closed. I think it was in 4 days or 5 days. The inquiry was given to members from Port Sheps and DPCI. It was allocated to them. Unofficially, I found that that inquiry was closed within 4 days. It was filed negative.
When you say within 4 days, do you mean 4 days from 13 February 2024?
No, Commissioner. From the time that it was opened to the time that it was closed.
Yes.
The time of me being placed and the time of the inquiry are different.
Okay, all right. And besides this letter at page 475, did you ever receive any communication, anything in writing, either from General Senona or the provincial commander? Did you ever get anything in writing besides the letter at page 475?
There is other letters that came. Commissioner, as a result of this, I was sitting now in an environment where they say I am not in active duty.
No, I'm talking letters that relate to what appears to have been a disciplinary process that was intended.
Nothing.
Letters relating to that.
Nothing.
So this is the only letter you received.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. And till today, you don't know officially what the outcome of the investigation is?
That is correct, Commissioner. And even before this, I even said to Colonel Jacob, I said, all I want is my name cleared. Give me the letter, clear my name.
And how did you get to hear that the inquiry was closed within 4 days of its commencement? How did you get to hear about that?
I asked someone to check the inquiry number on CAS.
And they came back saying that it was closed.
Closed.
And you yourself never saw anything showing that it was indeed closed?
No, Commissioner.
And were you ever placed on suspension?
No, Commissioner.
You were then moved from support services at some point.
Maybe before you move on, at the time, who did you report to? Who was your immediate superior?
I fell under Captain Van Niekerk. There is a colonel, and then Colonel Zikali, and then Brigadier Mulligan, and then obviously it's the two seniors, which is Brigadier Nuswa and General Senona. We're all on the same office.
So of the people that were in the room with you when you were told about this email that has come to head
yes.
office, was any one of them your immediate superior, one of the people that
All
you
of them.
report to?
My immediate superior was Colonel Jacob.
At the time?
Yes,
Okay, and he was in the room?
yes.
Okay. Did you ever get to see the email complaint against
Never.
you? Okay. And when you find out that the investigation or the inquiry is closed, did your immediate superior speak to you about it ever?
No.
Nothing. And it continued to be, at the time that you find that it is closed, your superior continued to be Colonel Jacob?
So technically, yes, because my post never changed on the system. I'm actually gone back to my very same office at my old office. So my post was still there. I plug my computer in, I log in. I still have the same title. But when you work at another office, we have obviously a job description in JD. So I had two PEPs, one for support services and one for DPCR, Serious Organized Crime SUNEP. So I had two jobs that were running.
Thank you.
And whilst at support services, what was your experience in the working environment?
For me, it was prison. The people I work with, amazing. I'll say that over and over again. Incredible humans. I learned a lot, but there was a post that I applied for. During the post, they do a financial vetting, and it came up that I was a director of a shooting club. I'm not going to mention the name if that's fine. It's part of all of my police members. I'm the vice chairman of the police shooting club. Half of the KZN shooting club, we're all members of the same club as well. We preserve the bank account to stop people changing the name or committing fraud. By doing so, our treasurer registered a company. But it's a non-profit company. I was charged for running a business without telling the police that I had an interest in a business. The outcome of that was a verbal warning by Colonel Jacob.
But this was after the allegations of corruption and you were moved to support services?
It is after, but it's during as well, Commissioner.
Yes. And that was also in 2024?
Correct, Commissioner.
Okay. And your engagements with General Senona while at support services, how were those engagements?
I don't engage with General Senona, Commissioner.
And you say that other than General Senona, there was also Brigadier Nuswa. Was he also in at that same office where you were?
That's correct, Commissioner.
Okay. When you then move from support services, you go with...
Commissioner, I was called to Brigadier News's office. He was told I'm going back to my old office, but I was being moved. I wasn't allowed to work narcotics. And Commissioner?
Continue.
But prior to this, they wanted to stop all my scarce skills. And this had resulted in me getting legal counsel, drafting long statements, and we served a notice on then it was Colonel Jama. Colonel Jama was acting on behalf of General Senona. She served a notice to suspend all my salaries and my incomes, and I challenged it. To that, I never received a response. But I did get the verbal response of Brigadier Newso telling me that I'm going back to operational space. But I was told I was not allowed to work narcotics.
Just explain, you say your scarce skills were stopped. What are we talking about when you say scarce skills were stopped?
Commissioner, in the DPCI environment and the organized crime environment, FSL, task force and stuff like that, certain skills, you get a financial remuneration. For the commissioner, I get 1,000 rand. That's my scarce skill.
An allowance,
1,000
scarce
rand.
skills allowance.
It means a lot to me, though.
Yes.
It's 1,000 rand. I've been receiving it since it's an inception, and I'll work for it. It's mine. I was then told, but now remember, on top of that now, there's no more danger allowance. So I lose my danger allowance, my operational allowance. So financially, it's a huge knockdown now to be sitting in an office. I have the court papers here, if the commission wants it. When I say court papers, my legal bundle, which I served on Colonel Jama. They moved me. There's still no answer. And I said, you moved me. How can you take my money away when nothing has happened? And then I was moved back to my working space.
That was then the scarce skills allowance restored?
It was never touched.
When you were returned?
They never touched it, Commissioner. It's maybe the correct wording is, it was a notification to suspend your allowance.
And it was never suspended?
They never touched it.
Okay.
I still receive it as we speak, Commissioner.
Okay.
So you were moved to support services in February of 2024, and when do you then move out of support services?
2025-08 in August.
And that's when you were moved to the economic...
Economic protected resources.
And what do you do there?
I'm busy with human trafficking investigations. I'm busy with quite a few investigations into non-ferrous syndicates, fuel pipelines, infrastructure damage. I've got a wildlife one at the moment with people poaching out at sea. It's quite interesting.
You had mentioned earlier that when they moved you verbally, they said that you would not go back to narcotics.
Correct.
Were you given a reason as to why not?
No.
Why do you think you were moved in February 2023?
Am I allowed to say? I think I was standing on their toes.
Can you just elaborate on that?
Maybe being too successful, too many good recoveries, understanding how the syndicate works, understanding who the different role players in the environment were.
But shouldn't everybody within the force be happy about that?
We should be promoted to actually make that bigger and go further.
I guess what I'm trying to establish is why something that has all the hallmarks of a disciplinary process should be instituted against you when, as you say, you were quite successful. Should those that purported to institute this disciplinary process not actually have appreciated what you were doing? I guess that's another way of trying to get an answer to Ms. Seegers-Ncube's question.
Commissioner, it's very difficult for me sitting here because, as I say, I don't have a statement or anything like that, and now we're talking of a different subject. And it has affected where I am. And Commissioner's question is so valid, I could answer it for days.
I just want to deal again with what was happening at support services. And I know you've given your reason. You say you thought that you were moved, you think that you were moved to support service. Warrant Officer, before we continue with the next topic, I just want to deal again with what was happening at support services. And I know you've given your reason. You say you thought that you were moved, you think that you were moved to support services because you were stepping on toes, on their toes. And we are not asking you who you are referring to as they, but how were you stepping on their toes? You said being too successful, but why would that be seen as stepping on the toes of the people that are now moving you?
Commissioner, a syndicate has many toes, if I can say that. There's toes to move a product, there's toes to drive the product, there's toes to ship the product, there's toes that give legal advice, there's toes that possibly sit in the prosecution. And then there's toes that sell the drugs. When I say toes, toes attached to those human people. If I hit their runners, I'm standing on their toes. If I take their drugs away at the wholesale division, that's costing them a lot of money. It's a lot of money. You stand on their toes. If you stand on their toes, it causes a person to say, ouch. They don't like doing that. They want you to also be ouch.
But our focus here is within SAPS. On what you are saying, one would be led to believe that perhaps you are talking about if there is such a thing, the real drug dealers. And yes, I would imagine they could, if they do not actually do so, use SAPS members. But from what you are saying, one just thinks of the drug dealers themselves, excluding, for example, corrupt members of SAPS. So the disciplinary process here was brought by people from SAPS. And the question is why this would have been done to you, and then you talk about stepping on toes. So what exactly are you saying insofar as SAPS is concerned, and insofar as SAPS is instituting a disciplinary process and ends up moving you to, I'll just say procurement. I've forgotten the term you use.
Commissioner, in short, I'm just going to say maybe I became a thorn in their side because I was interfering with their supply chain. And for the supply chain to work correctly, you need, and I'll say it, you need a corrupt policeman there. You need a corrupt customs official, you need a corrupt policeman. Then your system flows. That's how the system works.
Your belief is that SAPS instituted the disciplinary process against you because you were disruptive of the drug, or rather drug dealing.
Yes, Commissioner, how else was I finding this stuff? I was obviously asking, for me, I'm saying I was asking the right questions, but for them, they were saying I was asking the wrong questions. I was finding the storage depots. I wasn't finding 1 bag, 2 bag, or 3 capsules. I was finding a ton, 200 kilos, 600 kilos, 30 kilos at a time. I was finding it in a ship out at sea before it even came to Durban. I was finding it hidden somewhere. And they, maybe just the way I worked, I did not share that with them. So they become suspicious of my techniques and my technology. But it was just, in actual fact, a very good working relationship with different role players and eventually some very good informers.
I assume you mean sharing the information. The sharing there sounds bad. It's as if you're not sharing the drugs with them. You are not sharing the information on how you are so successful with the drug busts.
Commissioner, I don't know how to say it. Maybe we will get there in other evidence, if I can have 2 minutes of your time to tell you how we disrupt them getting the stuff and the different techniques. But it's going to expose undercover operational techniques.
I think just I don't think you should get into that detail because then it will alert the drug dealers on how you operate, and they will then find ways to get around that.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Chair.
Can I ask a question and hope it doesn't get us back to what the Chair is trying to be cautious about? You said some words back that there has to be, and I think you were explaining how traffickers succeed. And I think one of the things you said was, for example, there has to be a corrupt police officer. There has to be a corrupt customs official for that chain to succeed ultimately. Can I ask you to just elaborate a bit there, the role of a corrupt customs official, for example, in facilitating this, what role they would play, the corrupt police officer, in this chain that ultimately sees a successful trafficking of drugs to their final destination?
Commissioner, I believe the advocate asked me about the CHC seizure. If I deal with that, that will give you, the Commissioner, a good example of how the information of a corrupt SARS official came about. And then the steps taken after that.
All right, I'll leave it
Can
to
I do that?
I'll leave it to Ms. Seegers to
Yes, we'll
lead you
get to
through
that, yeah.
Thank you.
I just want to close off your movements within DPCI so that we can then get to your statement and then we can deal with the other factual stuff. So what I wanted to find out from you insofar as your time at support services is you're not on suspension. You've been moved there because of serious corrupt allegations, which you weren't given formal notification of what they entailed. What I want to understand is why they would move someone who's being accused of serious corruption to support services. Is it considered a safe place? I mean, you mentioned supply chain management. Is it a safe place to put somebody who's being accused of serious corruption?
Commissioner, I don't want to say the location of where it is. Let's just say my office, I had a vault full of fully automatic weapons at my disposal. Not one, not two, a lot. As I said, I took over the armory for the DPCI. There's documentation. I've signed the handing over. I was responsible for an audit, a good audit, if I may add. The SCM team there is amazing. We got a clean audit from the Auditor General for all our weapons and ammunition. If I was corrupt, I wouldn't sell drugs, I'd sell guns. My field of expertise is weapons.
And so in that position, you described it as being in a prison.
Commissioner, I work outside. I'm an outdoor person. You clock in through a checkpoint in the morning, you clock out at a checkpoint. There's no time, you cannot go out at a certain time. My only safe space was my coffee machine, and then they stole my coffee machine inside the DPCR. Sorry, I'm laughing about it. It's still so annoying. And I had to get polygraphed because of the theft of my own coffee machine.
Who asked you to be polygraphed for the theft of your own coffee machine?
General Senona. There were other exhibits, there were other items that were going missing in the environment, and again, I was seen as a suspect, and I had to go and get polygraphed for the theft of my own coffee machine.
Do you know if you passed?
I passed. I just want my coffee machine back.
Did you get it back?
No. No.
Okay. Warrant officer, so when you move from supply chain management to in August 2025 to the let's just call it the anti-human trafficking division, what is your experience like when you're now in that unit?
I'm dealing with some pretty high-profile cases. I believe one has been called up at Madlanga a few times now, and at another commission with DPP. I have that matter at the moment. I have, as I said, wildlife and fisheries, illegal poaching on our coastline. I've got human trafficking with people going to Cambodia that were trafficked, nearly 200 and something people. So I think they're high-profile and with some form of expertise, or let's call it, you don't want a corrupt person investigating them, but here I am, I'm investigating them.
And have you ever tried to get back to narcotics?
I'd love to go back, but I can't.
And why do you say you can't?
Here we are in Madlanga today. I'm giving evidence about the people that I work with, or giving testimony about different things. It's just not a very happy space.
So your intention is then to stay where you are?
I'm happy. It's a nice group to work with. We're actually doing very well.
And who do you report to?
Colonel Jacob.
Okay. So you still report to Colonel